Good evening, and welcome back to Boring Science for Sleep. Tonight, we are going somewhere quiet and mysterious. Not into the vast emptiness of space, but into a different kind of darkness. The darkness beneath the ocean at night. Imagine standing beside the sea long after sunset. The sky above you is calm and filled with stars. The wind is soft, and the waves move slowly against the shore. At first, the ocean appears black and silent, but as the water shifts and the waves gently roll across the sand, something unexpected begins to happen. Tiny flashes of blue light shimmer within the water. With every movement of the waves, more small sparks appear. The ocean itself seems to glow, as if thousands of tiny stars had fallen into the sea. Far from the shore, deeper beneath the surface, the darkness becomes even more profound. Sunlight cannot reach these depths. Below about 1,000 meters, the ocean is almost completely black, a place where day and night no longer exist. Yet even there, in the deepest darkness of the sea, the ocean is filled with light. But this light does not come from the Sunday. It comes from living creatures. Throughout the oceans of Earth, countless organisms possess a remarkable ability. They can create light inside their own bodies. Tiny plankton, delicate jellyfish, strange deep-sea fish with glowing lures. Even some squid and shrimp carry their own shimmering lanterns. This natural phenomenon is called bioluminescence, a word that simply means living light. For millions of years, life in the oceans has learned how to produce its own glow. Some creatures flash like tiny signals in the darkness. Others glow constantly, like soft underwater lamps. Some use light to communicate with one another. Others use it to confuse predators or to lure prey closer. In the deep ocean, light has become a language, a quiet conversation written in glowing blue and green. If you could slowly drift through those dark waters, you might see small sparks flicker in the distance. A jellyfish pulsing gently like a floating lantern. A deep-sea fish carrying a glowing lure in front of its mouth. Clouds of microscopic plankton lighting up the ocean like a galaxy of stars. In those moments, the sea no longer feels empty. It feels alive with hidden light. Tonight, we will explore 100 sleepy facts about bioluminescent creatures. We will discover how living organisms create light, why so many animals of the deep ocean glow in the dark, and how these tiny sparks of life illuminate some of the darkest places on Earth. From glowing fireflies drifting through quiet forests, to mysterious creatures shining in the deepest ocean trenches. The natural world is filled with living lights. Before we begin our gentle journey tonight, I'd love to know something. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Some of you may be listening late at night, already relaxing under blankets. Others might be winding down after a long day. And somewhere in the world right now, someone else is discovering these glowing creatures for the very first time. So if you feel like it, leave a comment and share your country and local time. It's always wonderful to see listeners from around the world drifting into sleep together beneath the same planet. Now dim the lights, take a slow breath, and imagine yourself floating quietly above the dark ocean. Far below the surface, tiny sparks of life begin to glow. Soft blue lights flicker gently in the darkness. A hidden world of living lanterns. Tonight, we follow those lights into the deep. As our quiet journey continues tonight, let us descend slowly beneath the surface of the ocean. Imagine drifting downward through the dark water. Above you, the last faint traces of sunlight fade away. The ocean becomes deeper, calmer, darker. At first, the water seems completely empty, but then, something begins to shimmer. A faint spark of light flickers nearby, then another, and another. Soon you realize that the darkness of the ocean is not empty at all. It is filled with creatures that carry their own light. Bioluminescence is one of the most beautiful and mysterious abilities found in the natural world. The word itself simply means living light. It describes the ability of certain organisms to produce light through a chemical reaction inside their bodies. Unlike the light from the sun or from a lamp, this light is created directly by living cells. No heat, no flame, just a soft glow emerging from life itself. Scientists believe that bioluminescence has evolved many different times in nature. In fact, it appears in a remarkable variety of organisms. Tiny plankton drifting near the ocean surface, glowing jellyfish floating like delicate lanterns, squid with shimmering patterns across their skin, strange fish with glowing organs dangling from their heads. Even certain bacteria and fungi can produce their own light. Nature has discovered this trick again and again, but nowhere on Earth is bioluminescence more common than in the deep ocean. Far below the reach of sunlight lies a world where darkness dominates. In these depths, light from the sun can no longer guide creatures through their environment. So, evolution found another solution. Instead of relying on sunlight, many deep-sea animals simply make their own light. If you could travel through the deep sea with a powerful submarine, you might see flashes of light appearing suddenly in the darkness. A small shrimp might release a glowing cloud behind it as it escapes from a predator. A jellyfish might pulse gently, each movement sending soft waves of blue light through the water. A fish might carry a tiny glowing lure in front of its mouth, attracting curious prey closer. In the darkness of the deep ocean, these lights become essential tools for survival. In fact, scientists estimate that most animals living in the deep sea are bioluminescent. Some studies suggest that nearly 3/4 of deep-sea species can produce light in some way. This makes the deep ocean one of the most luminous ecosystems on Earth, despite being one of the darkest places imaginable. It is a strange paradox. The deeper the darkness becomes, the more life seems to glow. Different creatures glow in different colors. Most bioluminescent animals produce blue or green light. These colors travel through seawater more effectively than other wavelengths. Blue light can travel long distances underwater, making it ideal for communication or camouflage. But some creatures produce more unusual colors. A few deep-sea fish can even emit red light, which is extremely rare in the ocean depths. Because most animals cannot see red light in the deep sea, this allows those fish to illuminate prey without revealing themselves. Some animals glow constantly, like gentle underwater lanterns. Others flash briefly when disturbed. Certain plankton, for example, emit tiny bursts of blue light when waves or movement disturb the water around them. If you walk along a beach on the right night, every step in the shallow surf might cause thousands of these microscopic organisms to sparkle. Each tiny flash lasting only a moment, yet together they can make the ocean appear as if it were filled with drifting stars. Bioluminescence can also help animals hide. This may sound surprising at first. After all, glowing in the dark seems like it would make a creature easier to see. But some deep-sea animals use a technique called counter-illumination. They produce light on the underside of their bodies that matches the faint glow of the water above. To predators looking upward from below, the animal becomes almost invisible. Its light perfectly blends with the background glow of the ocean. It is a remarkable form of camouflage, one created with light instead of shadow. The more scientists explore the deep sea, the more glowing creatures they discover. Some are delicate and beautiful. Others look almost alien. Fish with transparent heads and glowing eyes. Squid covered in rows of tiny light-producing organs. Shrimp that can release clouds of luminous chemicals like underwater smoke. Each new expedition into the deep ocean reveals another form of living light. And yet, despite centuries of exploration, we have still seen only a small portion of this glowing world. Much of the deep ocean remains unexplored. New species are discovered every year, and many of them carry their own soft lamps into the darkness, tiny signals flickering quietly beneath the waves. As we continue our journey tonight, we will soon discover how these creatures actually produce their light, because inside their glowing bodies lies a fascinating chemical reaction, a natural process that allows living organisms to turn energy directly into light, a gentle spark of chemistry that illuminates the darkness of the deep sea. As we continue our quiet journey tonight, let us move a little closer to the glowing creatures of the ocean. We have already seen that many organisms can produce light. Tiny plankton flashing in the waves, jellyfish glowing softly in the deep, strange fish carrying living lanterns in the darkness. But how do they actually do it? How can a living creature produce light without heat, without flame, and without electricity? The answer lies in one of the most elegant chemical reactions found anywhere in nature. A tiny interaction between molecules that creates light itself. At the heart of almost every bioluminescent organism are two special ingredients. The first is a molecule called luciferin. The second is an enzyme known as luciferase. Their names may sound mysterious, but their roles are beautifully simple. Luciferin is the molecule that produces light. Luciferase is the molecule that helps trigger the reaction. Together, they form the foundation of living light. Inside the cells of a glowing organism, luciferin waits quietly. When the right moment arrives, luciferase helps the luciferin react with oxygen. This reaction releases energy. But instead of releasing that energy as heat, the organism releases it as light. The result is a tiny flash of illumination, a small chemical spark, a living glow. Most forms of light we encounter in everyday life produce both light and heat. A candle flame, for example, glows brightly but also produces a great deal of warmth. Even light bulbs generate heat while they shine. But bioluminescent light is different. It is known as cold light. Almost all of the energy produced in the reaction becomes visible light, with very little wasted as heat. This makes bioluminescence one of the most efficient forms of light production known. Nature has perfected a chemical lantern that wastes almost nothing. The color of bioluminescent light depends on the exact structure of the luciferin molecule and the environment around it. In the oceans, most bioluminescent organisms produce blue or blue-green light. This is not an accident. Blue light travels farther through seawater than other colors. It scatters less and can remain visible across greater distances. For creatures living in the dark depths of the ocean, blue light is the most useful color. It can be seen clearly by other animals, even in very dim environments. Different species have evolved slightly different forms of luciferin and luciferase. This means that bioluminescent reactions can vary across different organisms. Fireflies, for example, use one version of luciferin. Many deep-sea creatures use another. Certain glowing bacteria have their own unique chemical systems entirely. Even some fungi that glow faintly in forest darkness rely on different chemical pathways. Nature has invented multiple ways to create living light. Fireflies provide one of the most familiar examples of bioluminescent chemistry. On warm summer nights, these small insects flash gentle pulses of yellow-green light. Inside the abdomen of a firefly, luciferin reacts with oxygen in the presence of luciferase. But fireflies have an additional layer of control. They can regulate the flow of oxygen to the light-producing cells. By controlling oxygen levels, the firefly can turn its glow on and off. This allows it to send precise flashes of light into the darkness. Signals meant to attract mates or communicate with others of its species. In the deep ocean, some organisms produce light continuously. Others release light only when disturbed. Tiny plankton, called dinoflagellates, are a beautiful example. When waves break along certain coastlines, these microscopic organisms react to movement. Each disturbance triggers a chemical flash. Millions of these tiny flashes can appear at once, turning the waves themselves into glowing ribbons of blue light. Beaches in places like Puerto Rico or the Maldives are famous for these glowing waters. At night, every ripple in the ocean can appear as if it were filled with stars. Some deep-sea animals go even further. Instead of simply glowing from their bodies, they cultivate symbiotic bacteria that produce light for them. These bacteria live inside special organs called photophores. The animal provides nutrients and shelter to the bacteria. In return, the bacteria continuously produce light through their own chemical reactions. It is a quiet partnership between species, a shared lantern glowing inside the darkness of the ocean. One remarkable example is the Hawaiian bobtail squid. This small squid carries bioluminescent bacteria inside a special light organ. The bacteria glow softly, producing light that shines downward beneath the squid. From below, this glow matches the faint moonlight filtering through the water. To predators looking up from beneath, the squid becomes almost invisible. The bacteria act as living camouflage, a glowing disguise that hides the squid from danger. Scientists have been fascinated by bioluminescence for centuries. In modern laboratories, the luciferin-luciferase reaction has become a powerful tool. Researchers use these glowing reactions to study cells, detect diseases, and observe biological processes in real time. In some experiments, scientists attach luciferase to specific proteins. When those proteins become active, the cells begin to glow. This allows researchers to watch biological activity unfold inside living organisms. A tiny light revealing hidden processes inside the body. Bioluminescence has also inspired new technologies. Scientists are exploring ways to create biological lighting systems using glowing bacteria or engineered plants. Some researchers imagine future cities illuminated not only by electric lights but also by living organisms. Soft glowing trees lining the streets. Bioluminescent gardens glowing quietly at night. It is still experimental, but the idea shows just how powerful this natural chemistry can be. Yet even with all that we have learned, the glowing chemistry of the natural world still holds many mysteries. The deep ocean remains largely unexplored. New bioluminescent species are discovered every year. Each one may carry its own variation of luciferin, its own unique version of luciferase, its own quiet spark of living light. And so beneath the dark waves of the ocean, countless tiny chemical lanterns continue to glow, invisible reactions happening silently inside the bodies of drifting creatures. Molecules meeting oxygen, energy becoming light, small flashes of brilliance in the deep. In the next part of our journey, we will leave the deep ocean for a moment and travel to a quieter place on land. A warm summer night, a quiet forest, where tiny living lanterns drift through the air, because not all glowing creatures live beneath the sea. Some float gently above the grass, shining softly through the darkness of the night. As our journey through living light continues tonight, let us leave the deep ocean for a moment and return to the quiet landscapes of Earth. Imagine a warm evening in the countryside. The sun has just slipped below the horizon. The air is calm. Trees stand quietly along the edge of a meadow, and the sky slowly deepens into shades of indigo and blue. For a few moments, the world becomes very still. Then, something gentle begins to appear. A small point of light flickers among the trees. Then, another. And another. Soon the forest itself seems to glow softly with drifting sparks. These are fireflies, sometimes called lightning bugs, small insects that carry one of nature's most enchanting lanterns. Fireflies are among the best-known bioluminescent creatures on Earth. Unlike the glowing organisms of the deep ocean, They live in fields, forests, wetlands, and gardens across much of the world. Their lights are not constant. Instead, they appear as soft pulses, tiny flashes of yellow or green drifting slowly through the darkness. Watching them on a summer night can feel almost magical, as if the air itself had begun to sparkle. The light of a firefly comes from a small organ located in the lower part of its abdomen. Inside that organ, the familiar chemistry of luciferin and luciferase takes place. But fireflies have evolved a remarkable ability to control their glow. By carefully regulating the flow of oxygen into the light-producing cells, they can turn the reaction on and off almost instantly. This allows them to create precise flashes of light, signals sent into the night air. These flashes are not random. They are part of a quiet conversation happening all around us in the darkness. Each species of firefly has its own unique flashing pattern. Some flash once every few seconds. Others produce quick pairs of pulses. Some create gentle waves of light that ripple across fields and forests. To human eyes, the lights may seem similar, but to other fireflies, these patterns are clear messages. Each pulse is a signal saying, "I am here." The primary purpose of these signals is communication during mating season. Male fireflies typically fly through the air, flashing their distinctive patterns as they search for females. Females often remain perched on leaves or grass. When a female recognizes the pattern of her species, she responds with a flash of her own. The male sees the reply and slowly moves toward the source of the light. Back and forth, the conversation continues, a silent exchange of glowing signals in the night. In some regions, fireflies gather in such large numbers that their lights become synchronized. Thousands of insects flash together in gentle waves across entire forests. This phenomenon is especially famous in places like the Great Smoky Mountains in the United States and certain regions of Southeast Asia. Visitors who witness these displays often describe them as one of the most beautiful sights in nature. The forest becomes a living constellation of lights, flashes rising and falling like breathing stars among the trees. Scientists are still studying how these synchronized displays occur. One idea is that individual fireflies gradually adjust their timing to match the flashes of nearby insects. Over time, the entire group falls into rhythm. Much like musicians in an orchestra, each insect follows the signals of those around it. The result is a coordinated performance of light, a silent symphony played across the forest at night. But not all fireflies use their light only for romance. Some species have evolved more complex strategies. In certain firefly species, females mimic the flashing patterns of other species. When a male from that species approaches, expecting to find a mate, the female captures and eats him instead. It is an example of bioluminescent deception, a glowing signal used not for love, but for hunting. Even in the gentle world of fireflies, survival can be surprisingly clever. The light produced by fireflies also serves another purpose. It warns predators that the insects are not pleasant to eat. Fireflies contain chemicals that make them taste bitter or even toxic to some animals. Their glowing bodies act as a signal of warning, a message that says, "I am not a good meal." Many predators learn quickly to avoid insects that flash in the dark. In this way, the light protects the fireflies as they drift through the night. Around the world, there are more than 2,000 species of fireflies. They inhabit wetlands, forests, and grassy fields across North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Some species glow only as adults. Others produce light even in their larval stage. These glowing larvae are sometimes called glowworms, and they live quietly in soil or under leaves. Their faint lights shimmer softly beneath the forest floor, tiny lanterns hidden among the roots and moss. Yet despite their beauty, fireflies are becoming less common in many places. Urban development, artificial lighting, and habitat loss have reduced their numbers in some regions. Bright lights from cities can disrupt their flashing signals, making it harder for males and females to find each other. When the night becomes too bright, their quiet language of light becomes difficult to see. Protecting dark natural environments helps ensure that these glowing insects continue to thrive, and that future generations can still witness their gentle lights drifting through summer nights. So if you ever find yourself walking through a quiet field or forest on a warm evening, pause for a moment and look carefully into the darkness. You may see a small spark of light drifting through the air. Then another, a slow dance of glowing insects floating between the trees. Tiny living lanterns, speaking to one another in flashes. Soft signals written in light. As our journey continues, we will soon return once more to the deep ocean. Because while fireflies glow in forests and fields, the greatest diversity of bioluminescent life still exists far beneath the waves. In the vast darkness of the deep sea, where some of the strangest glowing creatures on Earth quietly drift through the depths. As our gentle journey continues tonight, we leave the quiet forests and drifting fireflies behind. Once again, we return to the ocean, but this time we descend far deeper than before, far below the waves, far below the reach of sunlight, into a region where the sea becomes almost completely dark. The deeper we travel beneath the ocean surface, the less sunlight remains. At around 200 meters below the surface, the last traces of daylight begin to fade. Beyond this point lies a region known as the twilight zone, where the sun becomes only a faint memory filtering down from above. And deeper still, beyond 1,000 meters, sunlight disappears entirely. This part of the ocean is called the midnight zone, a vast world of darkness stretching across enormous areas of the planet. Yet even here, the darkness is not absolute, because in the deep sea, countless creatures produce their own light. In fact, the deep ocean may contain more bioluminescent creatures than any other place on Earth. Scientists estimate that the majority of animals living in these depths can produce light in some form. Some glow constantly, others flash briefly when disturbed. Some carry small glowing organs that function like underwater lanterns. In this silent world where sunlight never arrives, living light becomes an essential part of survival. One of the most famous glowing animals of the deep sea is the anglerfish. This strange fish has become almost a symbol of life in the ocean depths. The anglerfish is instantly recognizable because of the glowing lure that extends from the top of its head. This lure is actually a modified spine that dangles in front of the fish's mouth. At the tip of the spine is a small glowing bulb, a living lantern in the darkness. The anglerfish slowly moves this glowing lure back and forth in the water. To smaller creatures drifting nearby, the light may look like food or a curious spark in the darkness. When a curious fish approaches the glow, the anglerfish opens its enormous mouth. In an instant, the prey disappears. In this way, the anglerfish uses bioluminescence as a hunting tool, a glowing trap set in the darkness of the ocean. Another remarkable deep-sea creature is the dragonfish. Dragonfish are slender predators with long bodies and large teeth that seem almost oversized for their heads. Many species of dragonfish possess rows of glowing organs along their bodies. These organs, called photophores, can produce soft blue light, but some dragonfish possess something even more unusual. They can emit red light. Red light is extremely rare in the deep ocean. Most deep-sea creatures cannot see red wavelengths. This means that when a dragonfish shines its red light, other animals may not even realize they are being illuminated. It is like carrying a flashlight that only you can see. The dragonfish can quietly search the darkness for prey while remaining hidden itself, a remarkable evolutionary advantage in the silent depths. Some deep-sea squid also possess extraordinary bioluminescent abilities. Certain species are covered with dozens or even hundreds of small glowing organs across their bodies. These lights can flash in complex patterns, creating moving displays across the squid's skin. In some cases, the lights are used to communicate with other squid. In others, they may confuse predators or distract prey. The squid becomes a living constellation drifting through the dark water. Jellyfish are another group of creatures that often glow beautifully in the ocean depths. Some jellyfish emit soft pulses of blue or green light as they swim. Others produce brief flashes when touched or disturbed. One of the most famous glowing jellyfish is the crystal jelly, a species that helped scientists discover an important glowing protein called GFP, or green fluorescent protein. This protein has since become one of the most important tools in biological research, allowing scientists to study living cells in new ways, all thanks to the gentle glow of a jellyfish drifting in the sea. Shrimp and small crustaceans in the deep ocean have also developed clever uses for bioluminescence. Some species can release glowing chemicals into the water when threatened. The glowing cloud spreads through the water like luminous smoke. Predators may become confused by the sudden burst of light, giving the shrimp time to escape. It is a defense mechanism made of pure illumination, a flash of brightness in the darkness. Despite the strange appearance of many deep-sea animals, their glowing lights create a surprisingly beautiful environment. Imagine drifting through the ocean in a submarine at great depth. The water around you is black and silent. Then, suddenly, a faint spark appears in the distance. A glowing jellyfish pulses slowly past the window. A small fish flashes briefly before disappearing into the darkness. Clouds of tiny organisms shimmer like underwater stardust. The deep sea becomes something like a living night sky. Stars moving gently through an ocean of darkness. This glowing world exists because sunlight cannot reach these depths. Without the sun, life had to invent new ways of seeing and communicating. Bioluminescence became the language of the deep ocean, a language spoken in flashes, glows, and drifting lights. Even today, much of this glowing ecosystem remains unexplored. The deep ocean is vast and difficult to study. Many species that live there have never been seen by human eyes. Each new expedition into the depths reveals more glowing creatures, each with its own form of living light. Tiny lanterns carried through the darkness of the sea. And as we continue our journey tonight, we will soon discover that the glow of bioluminescent life is not limited to individual animals. Sometimes, entire stretches of ocean can glow at once. Waves shimmering with blue light, water sparkling beneath the moon, because the ocean itself can sometimes become a glowing sea of living stars. As we continue drifting through the glowing world of bioluminescent life, we begin to notice something intriguing. The light produced by these creatures is not always gentle or decorative. In many cases, bioluminescence is a tool for survival, a strategy, a signal, sometimes even a weapon. In the deep ocean, where darkness hides both predators and prey, light becomes one of the most powerful tools an animal can possess. For some creatures, light functions as a hunting device. In the silent depths, food can be difficult to find. The ocean is vast, and many animals drift through the darkness without ever encountering one another. But a small glow in the distance can attract attention, and curiosity can be dangerous. The anglerfish we encountered earlier uses exactly this strategy. Its glowing lure dangles just above its mouth, like a tiny floating lantern. Small fish, shrimp, or curious creatures drifting nearby may mistake the glow for food or a harmless light in the darkness. When they approach to investigate, the anglerfish strikes with astonishing speed. In a world where vision is limited, a single spark of light can become the perfect trap. Some animals take this idea even further. Certain deep-sea squid can create moving displays of light across their bodies. Rows of glowing organs flash in patterns, producing shifting signals that ripple across their skin. These lights may confuse smaller prey, drawing them closer to investigate. From a distance, the squid's glowing body might look like a cluster of tiny drifting organisms. But as prey approaches, the squid quickly seizes the opportunity. In the darkness of the ocean, light can disguise danger. Bioluminescence is also used as a powerful defense mechanism. When a predator approaches, some animals produce sudden bursts of light that startle or confuse their attacker. One example is the deep-sea shrimp. When threatened, certain species release a glowing cloud of bioluminescent chemicals into the water. This cloud spreads rapidly, forming a bright, swirling plume of light. To the predator, the sudden burst can be disorienting. While the predator is distracted by the glowing cloud, the shrimp escapes quietly into the darkness. It is sometimes called a smoke screen of light, a brilliant escape created entirely from chemistry. Other animals use bioluminescence to create a different kind of defense. Instead of blinding predators, they reveal them. Some small fish and plankton produce flashes of light when they are disturbed or attacked. These flashes may attract the attention of even larger predators. Imagine a small fish trying to swallow a glowing shrimp. If the shrimp suddenly flashes bright blue light, the glow may reveal the predator's position to something bigger lurking nearby. In this way, the tiny creature may turn its attacker into the target. It is a risky strategy, but sometimes the presence of an even larger predator can save the smaller animal. Perhaps one of the most fascinating uses of bioluminescence is a technique known as counter-illumination. In the deep ocean, predators often search for prey by looking upward. Any creature swimming above them may appear as a dark silhouette against the faint glow of light filtering down from the surface. But some animals have evolved a clever solution. They produce light on the underside of their bodies. This light matches the faint brightness of the water above them. From below, the animal's glowing underside blends perfectly with the background light. The silhouette disappears. To predators looking upward, the animal becomes almost invisible. It is camouflage created not with shadow, but with light. Several deep-sea fish and squid use this remarkable technique. Their bodies contain rows of tiny photophores, light-producing organs, arranged carefully along their undersides. These lights are adjusted constantly to match the brightness of the water above. If the moonlight changes, the brightness of the photophores can change as well. It is as if the animal carries a tiny adjustable lighting system beneath its body, a living cloak of illumination that hides it from view. Some predators also use bioluminescence to signal cooperation. Certain fish may flash their lights in patterns that help them recognize members of their own species. This allows groups to hunt together in the darkness. When several glowing predators move through the deep ocean, their lights may create a shifting constellation in the water. To smaller creatures drifting nearby, those lights may appear mysterious or harmless. But within moments, the glowing hunters may close in from all sides. Even jellyfish can use their light to protect themselves. When threatened, some species emit sudden flashes that travel across their bodies in waves. These pulses of light can startle predators or make the jellyfish appear larger than it actually is. In other species, the glow may draw attention to the predator, attacking them again, risking the involvement of an even larger hunter. In the deep ocean, every flash of light carries meaning. A signal, a warning, or a trap. It is remarkable to think that in one of the darkest environments on Earth, light has become such a powerful evolutionary tool. In the absence of sunlight, life has invented its own illumination. Some creatures glow to attract food. Others glow to escape danger. Some glow to hide themselves entirely. And others glow simply to communicate. The deep ocean, which might seem like a silent and lifeless place, is actually filled with these tiny signals. Flickers of blue and green light appearing suddenly in the darkness. Each one part of an ancient language written in glowing chemistry. As we continue our journey tonight, we will soon discover that bioluminescence is not limited to individual animals. Sometimes entire stretches of ocean water can glow at once, waves lighting up beneath the moon, footsteps on a beach triggering bursts of blue sparks. Because in some places on Earth, the sea itself can become a glowing ocean of living light. As our gentle journey through the world of living light continues tonight, we return once again to the surface of the ocean. But this time, we are not diving into the deep darkness below. Instead, we stand quietly beside the shoreline at night. The sky above is calm and filled with stars. The moon casts a soft silver glow across the water. At first, the ocean appears dark and peaceful, but then something unexpected begins to happen. As a wave rolls gently toward the shore, a thin line of blue light appears along its crest. When the wave breaks against the sand, the water suddenly sparkles with tiny flashes. It looks as if the ocean itself has come alive with light. This glowing phenomenon is one of the most magical natural events that can occur in the sea. And unlike many deep-sea lights, it happens very close to the surface. The glow does not come from fish or jellyfish. Instead, it comes from microscopic organisms drifting in the water. These organisms are called dinoflagellates. Though invisible to the naked eye during the day, they carry one of the most beautiful secrets of the ocean. When they are disturbed, they produce a sudden flash of blue light. Dinoflagellates are a type of plankton tiny organisms that float freely in the ocean currents. Each one is incredibly small, often only a fraction of a millimeter in size. Individually, their glow is faint, but when millions or even billions of them gather together in the water, their combined flashes can transform the ocean into a glowing sea. Every movement in the water can trigger the reaction. Waves breaking, fish swimming, a boat passing through the bay, even a person stepping into the water. Each disturbance causes thousands of tiny organisms to emit brief flashes of light. Scientists believe that this glowing reaction is a defense mechanism. When dinoflagellates are disturbed, they release light as a warning signal. The sudden flash may startle small predators. It may also attract larger predators that could threaten the attacker. In other words, the light acts like an alarm, a signal that says something unusual is happening in the water. Though each flash lasts only a moment, it can help protect these tiny organisms in the vast ocean. The glow produced by dinoflagellates is usually a brilliant shade of electric blue. This color appears especially striking against the darkness of the night ocean. When waves break along the shore, the edges of the water may glow like ribbons of blue fire. When a fish swims through the water, a glowing trail may follow behind it. The sea becomes something like a living canvas, where every movement leaves a trace of light. In certain parts of the world, these glowing waters appear regularly. One of the most famous locations is Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, where the concentration of bioluminescent plankton is among the highest on Earth. On calm nights, the water there glows so brightly that every paddle stroke from a kayak creates swirling clouds of blue light. Even small fish swimming beneath the surface leave shimmering trails behind them. The entire bay becomes a glowing lagoon. Other places around the world have also become known for their glowing seas. Coastal regions in the Maldives, Vietnam, California, and parts of Australia occasionally experience waves filled with bioluminescent plankton. In these places, nighttime walks along the beach can reveal something extraordinary. Every step in the shallow water causes bursts of blue light to sparkle beneath your feet. It can feel as if the ocean itself is made of stars. These glowing events often depend on specific environmental conditions. Large populations of dinoflagellates can gather in calm coastal waters when nutrients are abundant. Warm temperatures and gentle currents can allow these tiny organisms to multiply rapidly. When the conditions are just right, their numbers become so large that their glow becomes visible across entire stretches of coastline. Sometimes the glow is subtle and gentle. Other times, it can illuminate entire waves rolling toward the shore. Despite their beauty, dinoflagellates are still simple microscopic organisms. Each tiny flash of light is created through the same basic chemistry we explored earlier: luciferin reacting with oxygen, assisted by enzymes. The reaction occurs inside small structures within the cell called scintillons. When the cell is disturbed, the chemistry activates and a brief flash appears. Within a fraction of a second, the light fades again. But across millions of organisms, those tiny flashes combine into a glowing spectacle. Watching bioluminescent waves can feel almost surreal. The ocean, which normally appears dark and mysterious at night, suddenly reveals hidden motion. Every ripple and splash becomes visible in glowing blue light. Fish darting through the water appear like streaks of lightning beneath the surface. Even the wake of a passing boat may shimmer like a glowing path across the sea. For a moment, the ocean becomes a living galaxy of light. Yet these glowing seas are not constant. They appear only when the right conditions allow plankton populations to flourish. A change in currents, temperature, or weather can cause the glow to disappear again. For this reason, many people who witness bioluminescent waves describe the experience as fleeting and unforgettable, a rare moment when the ocean reveals one of its hidden wonders. As we continue our journey tonight, we will soon discover that the glowing world of bioluminescence extends far beyond plankton and fireflies. The oceans contain many more strange and fascinating creatures that produce light in unexpected ways. Some glow like drifting lanterns, others shine with patterns across their bodies, and some carry their lights like tiny living stars through the darkness of the sea. As our slow journey through the glowing world of bioluminescent life continues tonight, we return once again to the mysterious depths of the ocean. But this time, we are not focusing on a single type of creature. Instead, we will explore a collection of some of the strangest glowing animals that inhabit the deep sea. Because in the silent darkness of the ocean depths, evolution has produced an astonishing variety of creatures that shine in unusual and beautiful ways. Many of them look almost otherworldly, as if they belong to another planet rather than our own. One of the most delicate glowing creatures in the ocean is the comb jelly, also known as a ctenophore. At first glance, comb jellies resemble jellyfish, but they belong to a completely different group of animals. Their bodies are transparent and fragile, almost like drifting glass sculptures. Rows of tiny hair-like structures called cilia run along their bodies. When these cilia move through the water, they scatter light in shimmering rainbow patterns. Some species can also produce faint bioluminescent flashes when disturbed. As they drift through the water, their glowing bodies appear like floating lanterns in the darkness. Another remarkable bioluminescent animal is the vampire squid. Despite its dramatic name, the vampire squid is not a dangerous predator. It is actually a slow-moving creature that feeds mostly on drifting particles in the water. The vampire squid lives in extremely deep waters where oxygen levels are very low. To survive in such an environment, it has evolved several unusual features. One of them is the ability to produce glowing clouds of bioluminescent mucus. When threatened, the squid releases this glowing substance into the water. The luminous cloud drifts slowly away, confusing predators while the squid escapes quietly into the darkness. Many species of deep-sea shrimp are also bioluminescent. Some of these shrimp possess small, light-producing organs along their bodies. Others release glowing chemicals into the water as a defensive strategy. One well-known example is the deep-sea ostracod, sometimes called a seed shrimp. During mating displays, male ostracods release streams of glowing blue light into the water. These glowing trails form delicate spirals and loops that drift through the sea. Females watch these displays and choose mates based on the patterns and timing of the light. It is a courtship dance, written entirely in glowing chemistry. Bioluminescent squid come in many different forms. Some species possess rows of tiny photophores across their bodies, creating patterns that shimmer like constellations. Others have specialized light organs beneath their eyes or along their arms. The firefly squid, found near the coasts of Japan, is one of the most famous examples. This small squid carries hundreds of tiny light-producing organs across its body. When thousands of these squid gather near the shore during spawning season, the water glows with bright blue flashes. The effect can be breathtaking. Entire waves appear to sparkle with living light. Some glowing creatures of the deep ocean appear especially unusual. The cookie-cutter shark, for example, possesses glowing organs along its underside. These lights help camouflage the shark through counter-illumination. But the shark also has a dark patch beneath its chin that does not glow. To smaller fish swimming below, the glowing body and dark patch resemble a small fish silhouette. When curious prey approaches the fish, the cookie-cutter shark attacks, taking a round bite from its victim before disappearing back into the darkness. It is a clever use of light as deception. Another strange glowing animal is the barrel-eye fish. This deep-sea fish has a transparent head that allows scientists to see the structures inside. Its large tubular eyes are extremely sensitive to faint light. Though the barrel-eye fish does not produce strong bioluminescence itself, it often interacts with glowing organisms drifting through the deep sea. Its upward-facing eyes help it detect the faintest flashes of light above it. Even the smallest spark can reveal the presence of potential prey. There are also glowing polychaete worms, small marine worms that inhabit the ocean floor. Some species release bursts of glowing green or blue light during reproduction. These luminous displays may occur during specific phases of the moon. At those times, thousands of worms rise from the seabed and release glowing signals into the water. The result can resemble a drifting cloud of green sparks beneath the surface of the sea. A quiet celebration of life in the darkness. Bioluminescent life appears in many unexpected forms. There are glowing snails, glowing crustaceans, glowing bacteria that live inside other animals. Even some species of deep-sea starfish possess faint light-producing organs. Each organism has developed its own version of living light, each glow serving a purpose within the silent ecosystem of the deep. When scientists send deep-sea cameras into these environments, they often witness brief flashes appearing in the darkness. A fish darting away, a jellyfish pulsing slowly past the lens, a shrimp releasing a glowing cloud. For a moment, the ocean becomes alive with light. Then the darkness returns. It is a world where light appears suddenly, briefly, and beautifully. Tiny signals shining through the vast silence of the deep sea. The deeper we explore the oceans, the more we discover that bioluminescence is not rare at all. It is woven throughout the entire ecosystem. From microscopic plankton to strange deep-sea predators, living light appears again and again. Nature has turned the darkness of the ocean into a stage where creatures glow like drifting stars. And as our journey continues tonight, we will soon discover that bioluminescence is not limited to the oceans alone. Some glowing organisms live on land as well. In forests, caves, and damp woodland floors, another kind of bioluminescent life quietly shines. Soft lights glowing beneath leaves and tree trunks. Tiny lanterns hidden in the darkness of the forest. As our quiet journey continues tonight, let us descend once more into the deepest regions of the ocean, far below the waves, far below the last traces of sunlight, into a place known as the abyss. The abyssal depths of the ocean begin roughly 4,000 meters below the surface. At these depths, the pressure of the water is immense. The temperature is cold, and the darkness is complete. No sunlight has reached these depths for millions of years. The sun simply cannot penetrate that far through the water. If you were able to stand there in the abyss, the darkness around you would be deeper than any night sky on Earth. There would be no horizon, no stars above, only the silent weight of the ocean stretching in every direction. And yet, even in this profound darkness, the abyss is not truly empty. Life still thrives here. Strange fish glide slowly through the black water. Delicate jellyfish drift like transparent ghosts. Tiny crustaceans move across the seafloor. But in a world without sunlight, sight becomes difficult. How do these creatures see one another? How do they find food? How do they communicate? The answer lies in bioluminescence. In the abyss, light has become something like a language, a quiet system of signals shared among the creatures of the deep. A small flash of light might mean many things. It could be a warning, a message to others of the same species, a lure for prey, or a sudden burst meant to startle a predator. Each glowing signal carries information in the darkness, like a brief word spoken in a silent conversation. Some deep-sea animals produce patterns of light along their bodies. Rows of glowing photophores can flash in specific sequences. These patterns help animals recognize members of their own species. In a place where shapes and colors are difficult to see, light patterns become identifying signals, a kind of glowing signature drifting through the abyss. In certain species of deep-sea squid, the patterns of light may even help coordinate behavior within groups. Flashes moving across the body can signal changes in movement or direction. A group of squid may drift together through the darkness, their glowing patterns flickering gently like signals passing between distant ships at sea. It is a form of communication that does not require sound or touch, only light. For many animals of the abyss, vision itself has evolved to match this glowing environment. Some species possess extremely large eyes that can detect the faintest spark of light. Others have eyes adapted to detect only specific wavelengths, particularly the blue light most common in bioluminescence. In a sense, the creatures of the abyss have evolved to see the language of light that surrounds them. Their eyes are tuned to read the glowing signals drifting through the water. Some animals also use light to speak softly to members of their own species. Certain fish flash brief signals that help them locate mates in the vast darkness. These flashes may be incredibly subtle, a short pulse, a gentle glow, but to another fish of the same species, that signal can be clearly visible. Across the darkness of the abyss, two creatures may find each other through nothing more than a few faint flashes of light. In other cases, bioluminescence can create dramatic displays. Certain jellyfish produce waves of glowing light that ripple across their bodies. These displays may distract predators or signal distress. Some animals glow more brightly when they are disturbed. A sudden flash can ripple outward through the dark water like a silent alarm. Nearby animals may react immediately. The entire ecosystem becomes connected through these glowing signals. The abyss, which might seem empty and silent, is actually filled with these brief exchanges of light. Tiny flashes appearing and fading across the darkness. A shrimp releasing a glowing cloud. A squid flashing a signal across its body. A fish flickering a small pulse of blue light. Each glow is a momentary message written in the language of chemistry. If you could observe the abyss long enough, you might begin to see patterns emerge. Small constellations of light appearing in different directions. Signals rising and fading. The deep ocean would resemble something like a quiet underwater galaxy. Not of stars, but of living organisms communicating with one another. Even today, scientists are still learning how these signals function. Deep-sea cameras have revealed many glowing displays that remain mysterious. Some animals flash patterns whose purpose is still unknown. Others emit colors rarely seen in the ocean. The language of bioluminescence may contain far more meaning than we currently understand. And yet, the deeper we explore, the more we realize that life in the abyss has adapted beautifully to the darkness. Instead of relying on sunlight, these creatures have created their own system of illumination, a gentle conversation written in flashes of light, a quiet glow passing through the vast darkness of the sea. Soon our journey will take us away from the depths of the ocean once again, because the glow of bioluminescence does not exist only beneath the waves. Some living lights can also be found in forests, caves, and damp woodland floors, places where tiny organisms glow softly in the darkness of the land. As our quiet exploration of living light continues tonight, we gently leave the deep ocean behind. The glowing creatures of the abyss drift far below the waves, speaking their silent language in flashes of blue and green. But bioluminescence is not limited to the sea. There are places on land where the darkness also begins to glow. Places where forests shimmer softly with hidden lights, tiny sparks shining beneath leaves and tree roots, living lanterns hidden in the quiet world of the night. Imagine walking slowly through a damp forest after sunset. The air is cool and still. The ground is covered with fallen leaves and moss. The sounds of insects echo softly among the trees. At first, the forest seems dark and peaceful, but as your eyes adjust to the darkness, something unusual begins to appear. A faint green glow shines from the base of a fallen log. Then another glow appears deeper in the undergrowth. Soft lights flicker quietly among the roots and branches. These glowing patches belong to organisms that live quietly in the forest floor. Among the most fascinating of them are bioluminescent fungi. Some species of mushrooms possess the ability to produce their own light. Their glow is often subtle, a gentle green illumination that becomes visible only in complete darkness. Because of this faint glow, many cultures have long referred to these mushrooms as foxfire. In ancient forests, fallen logs covered with glowing fungi could appear like ghostly lanterns scattered across the forest floor. The effect can be strangely beautiful. A quiet shimmer among the trees, as if the forest itself were breathing light. Scientists have identified more than 80 species of glowing fungi across the world. They appear in tropical forests, temperate woodlands, and humid environments where decaying wood is common. The glow usually comes from the fungal tissue that spreads through the wood, rather than from the mushroom cap itself. This glowing network of fungal threads is known as mycelium. As it spreads through fallen branches and logs, the mycelium emits its faint green light, a quiet glow that may continue throughout the night. But why would a fungus glow? Researchers believe that the light may help attract insects. Certain insects are drawn toward the glowing wood. When they land on the mushrooms, they may carry fungal spores away with them. In this way, the glow helps the fungus spread to new locations. The light becomes a small signal in the darkness, inviting tiny travelers to participate in the life cycle of the forest. Another remarkable group of glowing organisms on land are glowworms. Despite their name, glowworms are not actually worms. Many of them are the larvae of beetles or flies. These small creatures produce light to attract prey. One of the most famous examples is found in the caves of New Zealand, where glowworms create one of the most magical natural displays on Earth. Inside these dark caves, thousands of glowworms cling to the cave ceiling. Each one produces a soft blue-green light. From below, the cave roof appears like a sky filled with glowing stars. Delicate threads of silk hang beneath each glowworm, forming sticky traps that capture small flying insects. The glowing lights attract the insects toward the ceiling. When the insects approach, they become trapped in the hanging threads. The glowworm then pulls the thread upward and consumes its catch. In this way, the glow becomes a hunting strategy, a small lantern drawing prey toward the darkness. Bioluminescent bacteria also exist on land and in aquatic environments. These microscopic organisms can produce light through chemical reactions similar to those found in other glowing creatures. Some bacteria live freely in the environment. Others form partnerships with animals, living inside special light organs. In certain coastal regions, bioluminescent bacteria can cause decaying fish or organic matter to glow faintly in the dark. Early sailors sometimes described seeing mysterious glowing shapes in their ships' holds. They did not yet know that tiny bacteria were producing the light. Even some insects beyond fireflies produce faint glows. Certain species of click beetles and larvae can emit steady green light from small organs on their bodies. In dense forests at night, these tiny lights may appear scattered among the vegetation like drifting sparks. Most of the time, the glow is faint and subtle. But once your eyes become accustomed to the darkness, the forest reveals its hidden illumination. Small lights appearing quietly among the leaves. What makes these glowing organisms so fascinating is that they often exist unnoticed during the day. In daylight, glowing fungi look like ordinary mushrooms. Glowworms resemble small larvae clinging to cave walls. Bacteria remain invisible to the human eye, but when night falls, their secret ability becomes visible. The forest transforms into a subtle world of living light, a hidden glow that appears only in darkness. For many animals that live in forests at night, these faint lights may serve as signals or guides. Some insects may navigate toward glowing fungi. Predators may detect prey by the faint glow of their bodies. Even small changes in light can influence behavior in the delicate ecosystems of the night forest. Bioluminescence becomes one more thread in the complex web of life that unfolds after sunset. And as we continue our quiet journey tonight, we begin to see that bioluminescence is not just a curious ability. It is a powerful adaptation that has appeared again and again throughout the natural world. In oceans, forests, caves, and rivers, life has learned how to create light. Tiny sparks glowing in the darkness of our planet. Soon, we will explore the final part of our journey together, a reflection on why so many organisms across Earth have evolved the ability to glow, and what these living lights reveal about the creativity of life itself. Because in the deepest ocean and in the quietest forest, nature has discovered countless ways to shine in the dark. As our quiet exploration of living light approaches its final chapter tonight, we pause to ask a deeper question. Why did so many living creatures evolve the ability to glow? Bioluminescence appears again and again throughout the natural world. In the deep ocean, in quiet forests, in caves, rivers, and microscopic life drifting through the sea, more than 1,000 different species across many branches of life possess this remarkable ability. It seems that nature has discovered the usefulness of light many times. But what advantages does glowing provide? Why would evolution favor organisms that produce their own illumination? One of the most important reasons is communication. In environments where visibility is limited, light can become a powerful signal. In the deep ocean, sunlight does not reach most creatures. Sound travels well through water, but it may not always carry clear information about identity or location. A brief flash of light, however, can be seen instantly across a distance. For many species, these flashes serve as signals that help individuals recognize one another. A specific rhythm of pulses might identify a particular species. Another pattern might indicate readiness to mate. In this way, bioluminescence becomes a kind of visual language, a glowing alphabet drifting through the darkness. We saw this earlier with fireflies. Their carefully timed flashes allow males and females to locate each other across fields and forests. But the same idea appears in the ocean. Certain deep-sea squid produce patterns of light that may help them coordinate movements with others of their kind. Some fish flash brief signals to attract mates in the darkness of the abyss. Across these different environments, the glow of bioluminescence helps animals find one another in a world where sight is otherwise difficult. Another powerful evolutionary advantage of glowing is camouflage. At first, this may sound strange. After all, glowing creatures might seem easier to spot. But in the ocean depths, the faint light filtering from above can reveal the silhouette of animals swimming through the water. Predators looking upward may detect prey by the shadow it casts against the dim background light. To solve this problem, many animals evolved the technique known as counter-illumination. By producing light along the underside of their bodies, they match the brightness of the water above them. Their silhouettes disappear. To a predator below, the animal blends perfectly with the surrounding light. Instead of casting a shadow, it becomes invisible. It is camouflage made from illumination. Bioluminescence also plays an important role in defense. When threatened, some animals release sudden flashes that confuse predators. Others produce glowing clouds that act like smoke screens in the water. These bursts of light may startle an attacker or draw attention from even larger predators nearby. In such moments, a brief flash of light can make the difference between life and death. For predators themselves, glowing can become an effective hunting strategy. The anglerfish's glowing lure is one of the most famous examples, but many other animals use similar techniques. Small fish may approach a glowing light out of curiosity. Plankton may drift toward faint illumination. When prey moves closer to investigate, the predator strikes. In this way, light becomes bait, a silent trap shining in the darkness. There is also evidence that bioluminescence may help animals navigate or orient themselves in dark environments. Some species possess light-producing organs that illuminate the water around them, allowing them to detect objects or other animals nearby. In environments where sunlight never reaches, this faint illumination may function like a biological flashlight, a small circle of visibility in an otherwise invisible world. Scientists continue to study bioluminescence, not only for its ecological importance but also for its potential applications in human science. The glowing chemistry of luciferin and luciferase has already become a powerful tool in biological research. Researchers use these glowing reactions to observe cellular processes, detect infections, and track the activity of genes inside living organisms. By attaching glowing proteins to specific molecules, scientists can watch biological events unfold inside cells in real time. It is as if the hidden workings of life can be illuminated from within. Bioluminescent proteins have also helped researchers study diseases such as cancer and neurological disorders. By observing how glowing markers move through cells and tissues, scientists can gain insights into how illnesses develop and how treatments might work. In laboratories around the world, the gentle glow of bioluminescent chemistry continues to reveal new secrets about the living world. Some researchers are even exploring ways to incorporate bioluminescence into everyday technology. Experimental projects have attempted to create glowing plants that could one day replace certain types of artificial lighting. Other scientists are studying bioluminescent bacteria that might provide sustainable sources of illumination. Though these ideas remain experimental, they demonstrate how much potential lies within the natural chemistry of living light. Yet beyond all of these scientific applications, bioluminescence also reminds us of something deeper. Life has found ways to flourish even in the darkest environments. Where sunlight disappears, organisms have created their own light. Tiny sparks glowing beneath the waves, soft flashes drifting through forests, living lanterns shining quietly in the darkness. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful lessons hidden within the story of bioluminescence. Even in places where light seems absent, life finds a way to shine. Soon, our journey through this glowing world will gently come to an end. We will reflect one last time on these living lights scattered across our planet, From the depths of the ocean to the quiet forests of the night, a world where nature has learned how to illuminate the darkness itself. As our gentle journey through the world of living light slowly comes to an end tonight, it is comforting to pause for a moment and reflect on what we have discovered. From the quiet forests where fireflies drift between the trees, to the mysterious depths of the ocean where strange creatures glow in the darkness, life on Earth has found many ways to shine. Some lights flicker only for a moment, others glow softly through the night, and some illuminate entire waves of the ocean, turning the sea itself into a shimmering galaxy of blue. It is remarkable to think that in places where sunlight cannot reach, life has invented its own illumination. Deep beneath the waves, in the silent midnight zones of the ocean, creatures move through darkness that has lasted for millions of years. Yet even there, the darkness is never truly empty. Small sparks of living light appear again and again. A jellyfish pulsing gently through the water, a shrimp releasing a cloud of glowing blue, a fish carrying a tiny lantern before its mouth. Each glow a quiet signal in the deep. On land, the story continues. In warm summer fields, fireflies drift slowly through the air like wandering stars. In forests after rain, faint green fungi glow softly from fallen logs. In caves, tiny glowworms transform the ceilings into skies of living constellations. These lights may be small, but together they remind us of something profound. Life does not need the sun to shine. Sometimes it creates its own light. Perhaps that is why bioluminescence feels so magical to witness. When the ocean glows beneath the moon, or when fireflies flicker through a quiet meadow, we are seeing a hidden side of nature, a world that exists only in darkness, a world where living creatures have learned to transform chemistry into light, tiny lanterns glowing quietly across our planet. Now imagine yourself once more beside the ocean at night. The sky above is calm, the stars stretch across the darkness, and the waves roll gently toward the shore. As each wave breaks against the sand, the water glimmers with blue light. Millions of microscopic organisms shining together. The sea becomes a field of drifting stars, a glowing ocean beneath a glowing sky. Let that peaceful image settle gently in your mind. The quiet rhythm of waves, soft sparks of blue light shimmering beneath the surface, a calm world glowing softly in the darkness. Now it's time to rest. Allow your breathing to slow. Let your thoughts drift like tiny lights across the surface of a quiet sea. In a moment, the ambient ocean sounds will continue, guiding you deeper into sleep. Good night. Sleep peacefully, and may your dreams drift through a world that glows softly in the dark.